What is going on, race fans? My name is Jared Hoffman from FrontStretch.com, and this week in the NASCAR Mailbox, we're going to look back at the questions you had after the races at Kansas Speedway. This first question comes from NASCAR Sun 2414. They ask, Jared, I still think the historic Darlington 2003 was the best finish ever because not many fans knew about rookie Craven like Kyle Larson, since Craven didn't win as much, and that was his last win. What do you think? Darlington 2003, Atlanta 2024, or Kansas 2024 was the best finish? Now, three very close finishes, paper thin margins, say at least thousandths of a second. I'm going to rank Atlanta of those three the lowest, considering the fact that our super speedway package is just shoving the car in front of you. And when you have those type of that package at Atlanta, it's going to lead to whatever line's going to shove first. You either have wreckers or those type of checkers finishes. Pretty impressive that he had three cars all within thousandths of a second with each other, but it wasn't like a slingshot pass that we saw, at Kansas and other close finishes. I think that was more byproduct of the super speedway and the next gen package. So I would put that third. Now, Darlington has his own right, as you mentioned, Ricky Craven. That was his last career win in the Cup Series, and I believe that is Pontiac's last win as well in NASCAR. They lost some manufacturer support after the 2003 season and trickled out by 2005 in the top three series in NASCAR. So I understand with Ricky Craven, Kurt Busch has been a classic for so many years. It's been ingrained in NASCAR's minds. But I'll give a little bit recency bias to Kansas ranking ahead of Darlington, considering the fact that we had four cars under blanket, and both of those drivers could have wrecked the other and caused calamity and could have won that race. And it was more of a speed differential, wasn't like a bump and bang the car in front of you to get that finish. It was just the aerodynamics and, like I said, the pure speed off the corner is what made the difference. It wasn't like that pushing that we had. So considering the sense there was four cars under that blanket right at the finish line, I would have to give it to Kansas, just ahead of Darlington as the greatest finish of all time. But I think Darlington, in its own respect, the 2003 finish, still deserves to be in top 10 closest finishes and greatest finishes of all time. This next question is from Rail Fan Kyle. They ask, while the intermediate package is impressive and the next-gen car is near perfect in the mile and a halfs, the same cannot be said about short tracks and tracks with higher banking and tighter confines. Example, Dover last week, Gateway, Darlington. In Larson's post-race interview, he brought up a good point that I completely forgot about on the next-gen is the rear-view camera. While most seem too quick to blame aero blocking as a main culprit, could it be as simple as the rear-view camera? I'm going to say the short answer is no. I mean, the rear view camera is an asset tool that drivers will use all the time. Remember the minute, fine things that drivers will find. Finish was decided by 1/1000th of a second. That is super fast. And if drivers had that little extra aid and a little extra oomph to get that advantage, they're going to use it. Kyle Larson mentioned about that when he won his Chili Bowl. He used the video board and to see where the drivers were taking their line. Drivers are always going to find the competitive edge to figure out what's the best way to, get an advantage. Now, I mean, mirror view mirrors, spotters, getting rid of them would be nonsense. I feel like the camera is a little bit over too much of technology in this circumstance, gives drivers those little bit of edges to see where the car is actually going instead of actually looking in the mirror. But there is a bigger problem in the sense that short tracks, which used to be, squealing the tires, getting it off the corner, and if you mess up, you're in trouble. Now you have people shifting and drivers being too close. That's what you get the consequences of trying to have 43 cars cross the start finish line at the exact same time. They're all the same. Nobody can pass. So the competitive closeness is the issue. You can't really pass the driver, trying to put a driver a lap down in 32nd in these short tracks. And also, too, aerodynamics and downforce is playing way too much of a factor in these short tracks where, it shouldn't be such a big deal to talk about aero at like Martinsville or, as you mentioned, Gateway, some of these other tracks. It's just been the evolution of the sport has caused more and more advancements in technology where these drivers are finding those fine edges and the camera gives them a little extra boost, but getting rid of it's not going to be the be all end all. As always, like and subscribe our content. It really helps us channel out. And as always, until next time, have a great race weekend.
Jared Haas with FrontStretch.com. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Also, check one of those 2 videos out that we have right beside you. Visit FrontStretch.com for more great content.